मातु जगावत कान्हा। मातु जगावत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
मातु जगावत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
मातु जगावत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
मातु जगावत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
भई भोर उठ उठ रे कान्हा,
भई भोर उठ उठ रे कान्हा,
उठ रे कान्हा,
उठ रे कान्हा,
उठ रे कान्हा,
उठ रे कान्हा।
भई भोर उठ उठ रे कान्हा,
भई भोर उठ उठ रे कान्हा।
उठे ग्वाल सब कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा 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 कान्हा।
माखन मिश्री रोटी कान्हा,
माखन मिश्री रोटी कान्हा,
माखन मिश्री रोटी कान्हा,
माखन मिश्री रोटी कान्हा।
मुख धो खाले कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा 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 कान्हा।
धन सुख मन सुख आदिक कान्हा,
धन सुख मन सुख आदिक कान्हा।
धन सुख मन सुख आदिक कान्हा,
धन सुख मन सुख आदिक कान्हा।
द्वार पुकारत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
द्वार पुकारत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
मातु जगावत कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कहत ग्वाल चलू चलू रे कान्हा,
कहत ग्वाल चलू चलू रे कान्हा,
चलू रे कान्हा,
चलू रे कान्हा,
चलू रे कान्हा,
चलू रे कान्हा।
कहत ग्वाल चलू चलू रे कान्हा,
कहत ग्वाल चलू चलू रे कान्हा,
गोचारण हित कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा 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 कान्हा।
यदि किया बेर जात हम कान्हा,
यदि किय बेर जात हम कान्हा,
जात हम कान्हा,
जात हम कान्हा,
यदि किया बेर जात हम कान्हा,
यदि किय बेर जात हम कान्हा,
रहु घर एकलो कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
रहो घर एकलो कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
रहु घर एकलो कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
रहो घर एकलो कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
हारी कह्यो मैया सुनु कान्हा,
हारी कह्यो मैया सुनु कान्हा,
मैया सुनु कान्हा,
मैया सुनु कान्हा,
हारी कह्यो मैया सुनु कान्हा,
हारी कह्यो मैया सुनु कान्हा,
कान खोली निज कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
कान खोल निज कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
कान खोली निज कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
कान खोल निज कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
सबरो माखन दाऊ ही कान्हा,
सबरो माखन
जात खवावन कान्हा 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 कान्हा
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 करत उठत नहीं कान्हा
करत उठत नहीं कान्हा
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 करत उठत नहीं कान्हा
करत उठत नहीं कान्हा
तानी पीत पट कान्हा 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 कान्हा
तानी पीत पट कान्हा 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 कान्हा
मातु जगावत कान्हा 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 कान्हा
मातु जगावत कान्हा 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 कान्हा
पुनि कह मैया तेरी कान्हा
पुनि कह मैया तेरी कान्हा
बनो ना मैया कान्हा 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 कान्हा
बनो न मैया कान्हा 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 कान्हा
बनो ना मैया कान्हा 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 कान्हा
बनो न मैया कान्हा 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 कान्हा
मातु जगावत कान्हा 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 कान्हा
मातु जगावत कान्हा 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 कान्हा
दाऊ की ही मैया कान्हा
दाऊ की मैया कान्हा
दाऊ की ही मैया कान्हा
दाऊ की मैया कान्हा
हाँ बनी हाँ अब कान्हा 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 कान्हा
बनी हो अब कान्हा 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 कान्हा
हाँ बनी हाँ अब कान्हा 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 कान्हा
हो बनी हो अब कान्हा
जब मैया कहा आए कान्हा,
जब मैया कहा आई कान्हा,
आई कान्हा,
आई कान्हा।
जब मैया कहा आए कान्हा,
जब मैया आई कान्हा,
भानु कुंवरी लखु कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
भानु कुंवरी लखी कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
भानु कुंवरी लखु कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
भानु कुंवरी लखी कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा।
लखत चहूं दिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
लखत चहूदिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
लखत चहूं दिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
लखत चहूदिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
उठी बैठे कान्हा,
उठी बैठे कान्हा,
उठी बैठे कान्हा,
उठी बैठे कान्हा।
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
तब कृपालु उठी बैठे कान्हा,
लखत चहूं दिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
लखत चहूदिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
लखत चहूं दिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
लखत चहूदिशि कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
मातु जगावती कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
मातु जगावती कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
मातु जगावती कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा,
मातु जगावती कान्हा, कान्हा कान्हा कान्हा।
बोलिए नन्हे से गोपाल की जय, वात्सल्य प्रेम की जय। As we do sadhana, as we practice devotion, our mind craves variety. It wants to go into different moods. It wants to think about Shyam Sundar in different ways. So in Prem Ras Madira, as all of you know, there are many moods that are depicted in 1008 bhajans. So we go to an entirely different mood. I would like to know if you in the back, is it visible to you, the words and the meaning? Anyone who cannot see them? Okay, good. So we go to Danya Madhuri, Ab to daya karo dayamay. The sadhak prays to Shri Krishna, he begs Shri Krishna, O merciful one, dayamay, ab to daya karo, bestow grace upon me. Bani akaran karuna jani nij avagun chit na dharo. You are known as being causelessly merciful. You do not look for anything before you bestow your grace. You are causelessly merciful. So grace me without paying heed to my vices. I am a bad child of yours. I am spoiled child of yours. I have committed innumerable sins, but please do not look at my vices. Do not look at my sins, because you are causelessly merciful. Bestow grace upon me. Hum ayan, hum agyani hai. I am ignorant. And moreover, man buddhi atit puni. Moreover, you and your saints, tum arujana tumharo, you and your saints are beyond the reach of my material mind and intellect. I cannot understand you using my material mind and intellect. So without your grace, I cannot know you. Yate santan kahyo na manat ur abhiman kharo. And this is why I am not able to obey the instructions of saints, instructions of my Guru, and moreover, I am filled with pride. Abhiman. Sunyo kan, I have heard from my ears, I have heard that Abhiman, pride, is Ashan Tav. Ashan is food. Tav is a Sanskrit word meaning yours. So I have heard that pride is your food. You consume pride. You destroy pride. Puni, in that case, then, kahe ju daro? Why are you afraid of my pride? Dehu kripalu hi charan kamal rati jat tritap jaro. Says Jagatguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, my merciful Lord, I am being tormented by many sorrows and sufferings. The threefold sorrows and sufferings. Tritap. Bless me with the love for your lotus feet, so that I may not burn any further from these sorrows and sufferings. अब तो दया करो दयामय अब तो दया करो अब तो दया करो दयामय अब तो दया करो बानी अकारन करुण जानी निज बानी अकारन Manjeera, please.
करुण जानी निज
बानी अकारण करुण जानी निज
बानी अकारण करुण जानी निज
अवगुण अवगुण चितना धरो दयामय
अवगुण चेतना धरो दयामय
अवगुण चितना धरो दयामय
अवगुण चेतना धरो दयामय
अब तो दया करो दयामय
अब तो दया करो दयामय
अब तो दया करो दयामय अब तो
दया करो दयामय
हम अयान मन बुद्धि अतीत पुनि
हम आयान मन बुद्धि अतीत पुनि
हम अयान मन बुद्धि अतीत पुनि
हम आयान मन बुद्धि अतीत पुनि
तुम आरु जन तुम्हरो दयामय
तुम आरु जन तुम्हारो दयामय।
अब तो दया करो, दयामय।
अब तो दया करो, दयामय।
याते संतन कह्यो ना मानत,
याते संतन कह्यो न मानत।
याते संतन कह्यो ना मानत,
याते संतन कह्यो न मानत।
उर अभिमान खरो, दयामय।
और अभिमान खरो, दयामय।
उर अभिमान खरो, दयामय।
और अभिमान खरो, दयामय।
अब तो दया करो, दयामय।
अब तो दया करो, दयामय।
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 अब तो दया करो, दयामय।
अब तो दया करो, दयामय।
सुन्यो कान अभिमान अशन तव।
सुन्यो दर्शन तब
पुनि काहे जो डरो दयामय
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 अब तो दया करो दयामय अब तो दया करो दयामय देहो कृपालु ही चरण कमल रति देहो
कृपालु ही चरण कमल रति
देहो कृपालु ही चरण कमल रति
देहो कृपालु ही चरण कमल रति
जात जात त्रिताप जरो दयामय
जात त्रिताप जरो दयामय
जात त्रिताप जरो दयामय
जात त्रिताप जरो दयामय
अब तो दया करो दयामय
अब तो दया करो दयामय
अवगुण अवगुण चितना धरो दयामय
अवगुण चितना धरो दयामय
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 अब तो दया करो दयामय
अब तो दया करो दयामय
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम राम राम
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. बोलिए दयामय सरकार की जय. In yesterday's satsang, I had started a topic. I would like to continue with that. There are two types of devotion. One is Vadhi Bhakti. The other is Raganuga Bhakti. Vadhi Bhakti is the devotion that is done out of fear. Fear of scriptures, fear of going to hell if devotion is not done. It is driven by fear, it is driven by greed for liberation, it is driven by fear of hell. But Raganuga Bhakti, on the other hand, is ruled by interest and love. The one who is following the path of Raganuga, and all of us are, then we are doing it out of interest, out of love, not because of fear. It is only the Raganuga devotee who can ultimately attain the highest love, the greatest love, Premanand, beyond which there is no love, beyond which there is no happiness. So in Vadhi Bhakti, there are many rules. There are 64 rules in Vadhi Bhakti. For instance, how do you sit in front of your guru? Where do you walk? How do you walk? What do you do? What do you do now? Which puja do you do? This and that. There are lots of rules. But in Raganuga Bhakti, there is just one rule and one restriction. One rule is Smartavyah Satatam Vishnu. And the restriction is Vismartavyo na jatu chit Padma Puran. Always think of God, that is the rule, and never forget Him, that is the restriction. That's it. And in this rule and restriction, every rule and restriction is included. So there's just one rule. Always think of Bhagwan. Always think of God. Satatam, continuously. Raganuga Bhakti is not concerned with how you sit, which direction you're sitting in, which hand do you light the agarbatti with. These small things are not part of Raganuga Bhakti. It goes beyond these small rules. And it concentrates on love. In Raganuga Bhakti, there's no hard and fast rule about when to practice devotion and where to practice it. Na desha niyamas tasmin na kala niyamas tatha, says Padma Puran. So it's very easy to practice Raganuga Bhakti. There is a very important scripture on devotion, and that is Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu by Rup Goswami. one of the Goswamis, one of the dearest disciples of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami tells us a sequence in which we must progress on the devotional path, on the path of Raganuga Bhakti. He says, Adau Shraddha Tatah Sadhu Sangotha Bhajana Kriya Tato Nartha Nivrittisya Tato Nishtharuchis Tatah. He says, first of all, you must have faith. Then you approach the Guru and associate with the Guru. Guru will tell you how to practice sadhana, bhajana kriya, how to practice devotion. Then as you practice devotion, then anartha nivritti will happen. That means that the mistakes that we have made for countless lifetimes, they have resulted in many shortcomings within us, many mistakes we make, many faults within us. Those mistakes, those shortcomings are reduced and eventually they will disappear, but they are reduced. And then nishtha will come. Nishtha means firm faith. You are firmly established in devotion. If somebody comes along and says, what are you doing? You are too young to be practicing devotion. You will not be affected. If somebody comes along and says, oh, you're worshipping Krishna? He was just a yogi and he was a trickster. You should not practice devotion to him. You will just walk away. You will not be affected. If a calamity befalls you, something very devastating happens in your life, you will not renounce devotion. Many people do. Many people do. There was once a temple president somewhere in the US, and he told me that he said, I was the temple president. I had so much faith in God. But when my one and only daughter died, then I lost all faith in God. So when something terrible happens in life, many people, they lose faith in God. That means the faith wasn't genuine faith in the first place. So now nishtha comes very firmly. You are planted on the path of devotion. You have firm determination. And then Rupa Goswami Ji says, ruchi. You become interested. Your interest in Sri Krishna grows. You are interested in loving him. You're interested in thinking of him. And asakti. You start loving him. You're falling in love with him. Your love is growing for Sri Krishna. You always want to visit the places where your Supreme Lord, where your beloved has performed pastimes. You always want to be in Vrindavan. You want to be in places where he has performed his sweet pastimes. You always want to be visiting your Guru's abode, Guru Dham. That interest is growing. You will feel it. Rupa Goswami Ji says, this will happen. If you are taking the steps properly, you approach your Guru with faith and you follow his teachings, you are doing sadhana as disclosed by him. You don't have any hesitation. You are not concerned with what you have learned before. You put all that aside and thank all those who have taught you so far. You don't disrespect them. You thank them. You're grateful to them. And then you say, now you have brought me this far. I want to go higher. And now my Guru has come along and I'm going higher. Many people make the mistake of saying, that one is nothing. Oh, what I heard earlier, the one I was following earlier is just a nobody. That is not right. When someone has graduated, a child has graduated from kindergarten, he should not disrespect the kindergarten teacher. Oh, I've graduated from that. I don't care. No, those are stepping stones. There are many stepping stones in our lives. So we respect them. We have great respect for them. We're grateful, but we move on. Then we learn how to do sadhana. We learn karma sannyas sadhana, karma yoga sadhana. We learn from our merciful Guru that we must renounce, we must let go of all worldly duties, chores, and all worldly gadgets. Everything of the world should be renounced for an hour or two, preferably 2 hours a day. And that time should be given to sadhana, practice of devotion, bringing Sri Krishna into the mind. And then Karma Yoga Sadhana, while performing works of the world, we learn from our Gurudev how to bring Sri Krishna into the mind at the same time, simultaneously. As Sri Krishna says to Arjun, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yuddhyacha. Think of me at all times while fighting the battle. So we do our worldly chores, but we think of him at the same time. So we learn how to do bhakti, how to practice devotion from our merciful Gurudev. And then the determination within us becomes more and more firm. We become stronger, so that no one can misguide us, mislead us. Interest in Sri Krishna increases and love for him increases. Next step is Bhav Bhakti. So far we were in sadhana bhakti, and now with diligent practice of devotion we go into the next stage. Sadhana bhakti, then Bhav Bhakti. Bhav Bhakti. There are certain symptoms of Bhav Bhakti that Rupa Goswami Ji tells us about in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. How do you know that you are progressing on the path and that you have progressed from sadhana bhakti to Bhav Bhakti? I heard someone say, Bhav Bhakti means when you go into Bhav. You know, when you're doing kirtan and you start crying and then you start screaming and you go into Bhav, you don't know where you are. That's not Bhav Bhakti. That's the grace of God and Guru that you feel totally lost in, that you feel that you experience that sweetness and it seems like you can't contain it, but you're still in sadhana bhakti. And that situation, that condition passes. And then you're back into the world. Bhav Bhakti means that you have progressed on the path. And what are the symptoms of Bhav Bhakti? Let me talk about that now. Rupa Goswami Ji says, Kshantiravyaartha kalatvam viraktirmana shunyata asha bandha samutkantha nama gane sadaruchi asaktis tadgunakhyane pritis tadvasatis thale. He says, first of all, there should be kshanti within you. Kshanti means tolerance, as opposed to shanti, which means peace. Kshanti, K-S-A-S-H-A-N-T-I, kshanti. Ksha that we have in Hindi, kshatriya, little Hindi lesson. Kshanti, tolerance. When there is a reason to get angry, you don't get angry. There are many times during the day, many hours that we are not angry. But even when there's a reason to get angry, somebody just random comes along and starts yelling at you. Hey, you fool, what do you think you're doing? And you say, who are you? Who are you to call me a fool? And you say, well, naturally I got angry. No. When you get to Bhav Bhakti stage, you will not mind what this person is saying, or what family members are saying, what they are doing. You will not become angry even when there's a real reason to get angry. That is kshanti. From the scriptures, we hear the story of Parikshit. He ruled over the entire world. There was a time when the world was not divided into 150 or 160 countries. I don't know how many there are at present, but there was only one country, that the whole world was one. And Parikshit ruled the entire world. He was a king. Once he was on a hunting expedition, and there were many ministers, and his servants were with him, and he became separated from all of them. He was just riding and riding, but he could not get out of the woods. He couldn't find his way out, and there was nobody else with him. And he became more and more hungry and thirsty. Then he came upon an ashram, and there was a holy man sitting there, a sage. A rishi was sitting there, lost in meditation. The king asked for water. He said, "Holy sir, may I have some water?" But there was no response because the holy man was lost in meditation. He couldn't hear the king. Once again, the king repeated his request, but once again, there was no answer. He repeatedly asked, but there was no answer, so he became very angry, and there was a dead snake laying nearby. With the corner of his bow, he picked up the dead snake and put it around the holy man's neck who was meditating. The holy man who was meditating, the king put the dead snake around his neck, a sign of disrespect. And the king went away from there. The sages' sons came home and they saw a dead snake around their father's neck, and they found their father was still in meditation. They became very angry. They went into samadhi and they wanted to find out who did this. So they found out that the King Parikshit had done this. They became so angry with him that they pronounced a curse on him. They said, "You will die for this insolent act. You will die within 7 days because you'll be bitten by the king of serpents, Takshak." When their father came out of meditation, his sons told him about what had happened. He became very, very disappointed in his sons. He said, "You should not have done that. You are very hasty. But you know, the king is a good man. He had a momentary lapse of judgment, but he is a good man. He is a just king. He is a very benevolent king. It is because of him that we are able to live in peace in this ashram. You should not have done this. Now you are not able to take this curse back, and go at least tell him about what you have done." So the Rishi's sons, they went up to the king and they said, "Forgive us, but we have pronounced a curse on you and you will die within 7 days." Now there is a very great reason for Parikshit to become angry, to become devastated and become furious, and to perhaps give these boys the death penalty, but he said, "Thank you for letting me know." And the king thought to himself, "I have only 7 days of life. I am so fortunate that I have found this out, because no one really knows when they're going to die. But I do know now. I can make great use of these 7 days." So he had a great desire to know about God. He thought, "I want to learn about God. I want to hear about God." And whenever there's a desire to know God, God sends a guru. So out of nowhere, Shukdev Paramhans came along and he recited the Bhagavatam for the sake of the king. He recited it for 7 days. The king listened to the Bhagavat without blinking his eyes, without resting, without eating food, without drinking water. His mind was completely absorbed in what Shukdev Paramhans was saying. So my point is that Parikshit had a great reason to get angry and to become devastated, but he had such tolerance within him that he did not become angry. On the contrary, he felt very grateful. That is called kshanti, tolerance. And then avyartha kalatvam, someone who is in Bhav Bhakti stage, he does not wish to waste his time. The neighbor comes along and says, "Did you hear what happened to that boy who lives down the street?" "No, I don't know. What happened?" "No, it's nothing much." No, tell me. What happened?" "Oh, it's of no use." No, tell me what happened. "Did he get into drugs?" "I always suspected he was a drug dealer." "Is that what it is?" No. "Did he run away? Did he run away with a girl? Did he bring disgrace to his family? Is that what it is?" No. Then what is it? Tell me. No, what I was going to say, did you hear what he's doing? He's chanting Radhe Radhe. What? No, he got into bhakti and he's chanting Radhe Radhe. Oh, that's all? This is nothing juicy. These are dull news. I thought you were going to tell me something great, some juicy gossip. But the one in Bhav Bhakti, even if someone just comes randomly and tells him all this, he does not wish to hear it. And there are times when he has to hear something, but his mind does not hear it. He is absorbed in the thoughts of Sri Krishna. When he cannot avoid hearing this, anything worldly, he is not interested in hearing anything worldly. And when you tell him something worldly, he feels as badly as we would feel if someone were to push dirt down our throat, garbage down our throat. How would we feel? That's how he would feel if you were to tell him about something worldly. He does not wish to hear it. And next, Rupa Goswami says, Virakti. The Bhav Bhakti, the one who is situated in Bhav Bhakti stage, that devotee is completely detached from the world. But being detached from the world does not mean that he does not live in a house. Sometimes he will live in a palace. He lives in a house. He may live in a mansion. He may live in a palace. He may have objects of luxury around him, but he is not attached anywhere. Because virakti, detachment, it lives in the heart, just as asakti, attachment, lives in the heart. In our Hindu history, we've had many kings, rajas, maharajas, who were completely detached from the world. From the Ramayana, we learn about Bharat. Bharat hi hohi na raj mad, vidhi hari har pad paay. Bharat was given the kingdom of Ayodhya, but he established Bhagwan Ram's charan padukas, his wooden slippers, on the Singhasan, and Bharat himself slept on the floor. Next to the palace, there was a modest little hut that he built, and he lived in it. He didn't sleep on a comfortable bed. He lay down on the ground, hard ground, and he ate only that which Ram, Sita, and Lakshman would have been eating during the exile. Only fruits and berries, very simple food. He was not affected by the luxuries that he was given. He was not attached. He was not attached. Even though he was living in the midst, he had the access to luxuries. He was not attached to them. In the Bhagavatam, it is said, the Bhagavatam tells us about the greatest of all saints. What is he like? The greatest of all saints. This is what he is like, says the Bhagavatam. Grihitva pindriyairarthan nadveshti nahirishyati Vishnor mayamidam pashyan savai bhagavatottamah. The Uttam, the greatest devotee of God, is he who accepts everything the world has to offer. He's eating the best foods, he's wearing the best clothes, he has gold, gems, diamonds, he's surrounded by luxury, he accepts it all, but he is not at all attached to anything. King Janak is an example, King Dashrath is an example, King Vibhishan is an example, Dhruv, Prahlad, these are all kings, but they were not attached to the luxuries that surrounded them. One of Bhagwan Ram's ancestors, by the name of Raghu, from whom we get the name Raghav, the Raghu dynasty. Raghu, king, being a king, surrounded by luxury, he performed a Vishwajit Yajna once. And when you perform that yajna, you have to give away everything you have. Everything. You don't keep anything back. So he gave away all his wealth. He gave all the gold. He gave everything away. Now he was reduced to eating from clay vessels, mitti ke bartan. So he had so much luxury, but he gave it all away. Not attached to them. He was not at all attached to them. There was no sorrow in giving them away. He willingly gave everything up. Just in case we think that, that's impossible. To be living in luxury and not be attached to them, we cannot do it. This is why we should not surround ourselves with luxury. But the ones who have very great powers, spiritual powers, It's easy for them. Their minds are always lost in the thoughts of God. They feel that everything that they have belongs to God. So if they have it today, that's all well and good. That's God's will. And if they lose it today, tomorrow, day after, they will not grieve at all. So the greatest saint, the greatest devotee of God is the one who has all the luxuries, who accepts everything the world has to offer, but he does not become attached. Uddhav ji says, Tvayopabhukta sraggandha vaso lankara charchitah uchishta bhojanoda sastava mayam jaye mahi. Bhagavad. Uddhav ji says, "O Shri Krishna, I will wear the clothes that you have given me, your prasadis." Sri Maharaj ji Satsangis know all about prasadis. Uddhav ji says, "I shall wear the prasadis, your prasadis. I will use the perfumes that you have used." When Sri Maharaj ji gave us the prasadis, and even now we get those prasadis, there is a great value to them. Uddhav ji is saying, "I shall use your prasadis. I shall eat the food that you have tasted. I will eat your jutan, uchishta. I will wear the clothes that you have worn. I will use the fragrances that you have used. And by doing so, I shall challenge your maya." In other words, I'll go beyond maya by using these prasadis, because I will regard them not as objects of luxury. You've given me a gold chain, a gold necklace. You've given me rings, golden rings. I will think about the fact that you have worn these. These are your prasad, your grace. I will not think of them as mere ornaments, expensive ornaments, precious ornaments. I shall regard them as your prasadis. And I will be so filled with love wearing these prasadis, using these prasadis, that I will be able to challenge your maya. I shall say to Maya, "Oh Maya, you cannot harm me, because I am wearing the prasadis of my Prabhu. I am using the prasadis of my Prabhu and of my Gurudev." So, virakti. Next, Rup Goswami ji says, mana shunyata. The devotee at the Bhav Bhakti stage, he has no pride. He does not wish others to give him respect and honor. He gives respect to others, but apu amani. Sabahi man prad apu amani. He respects everyone because he sees that God, his own Ishtadev, is living within everyone. So he respects everyone, but he does not wish others to respect him. He does not become devastated when he does not get respect from others. When he is disrespected by others, he does not fall to pieces. He understands that respect and disrespect, these are impostors, two impostors. Ninda stuti ubhaya sam. So he regards praise and criticism in the same way. He understands that they are both impostors. So kshantiravvyartha kalatvam viraktir mana shunyata ashabandha samutkantha namagane sadaruchi. He has asha. He's always hopeful. He is always optimistic. He has faith that he will receive Shri Krishna's grace. He will receive his Guru's grace. He never loses courage. He never loses, hope. He's always hopeful. And utkantha, he is always very willing to practice devotion. Namagane sadaruchihi, and is always interested in chanting the names of his beloved Lord. He does not say, "Oh, so much chanting, so much. 2 hours, that's enough, more than enough. I will go to satsang in the last 15-20 minutes when all the kirtan is done, everything is done." That is aruchi, that is a lack of interest. But now the Bhav Bhakti, the one at Bhav Bhakti stage, he cannot get enough of kirtan, bhajan. Namagane mein sadaruchi. He's always interested in singing the praises of his Lord. So these are the symptoms of Bhav Bhakti stage. Sometimes people ask, I think it's a very unique question and a very strange one. Am I enlightened? I read somewhere on the internet how to find out if you're enlightened. You have to find out you're enlightened. You'll know it. You know, am I at Bhav Bhakti stage? You'll know it. It's like a little boy, when he was going to bed, he said to his mother, "Mommy, how will I know when nature calls?" She said, "You'll know it. I don't have to tell you, you'll know it." How do I know I'm at Bhav Bhakti stage? Just in case, we're thinking, I think I'm at Bhav Bhakti stage. Well, Rup Goswami ji says, wait and judge yourself. Just look at these symptoms that I'm telling you about and see if you have any of these. All of them or some of them or none of them. Just see where you are. Now, the encouraging thing for us is that as we practice devotion, we do feel we're getting closer and closer. If we are diligently practicing devotion, it will show up in the mind. It does show up. We will feel it. Have you made any progress since you started satsang? So many satsangis say, out of humility, and I think they're not able to understand this, they say, no, I haven't made any progress. That is a lot of humility, but the fact is that it's impossible not to make progress when you are really making a genuine attempt. Of course, we must never feel, okay, enough, I've made enough progress. There is so much further to go, but we are making progress. We must never lose hope. We must never think. We must never become pessimistic, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. It's not true. So now we're in sadhana bhakti stage, then will come bhav bhakti stage only and only if we remain faithful to our Guru. And that means if we are following his instructions, we are trying our best, making very, very great efforts to follow the teachings, and not only to hear the teachings, not only to speak the teachings, but to live by the teachings. If we are doing that and we are being faithful to our Guru, then we will find that, and we are also doing seva, and we are also doing satsang. We don't shy away from satsang. We do not shy away from seva. And we always do sadhana. These three are saviors. Satsang, sadhana, and seva. All beginning with S. Satsang, sadhana, seva. If we are doing all these, then that's what we need to do. That is all we need to do. And God and Guru will take care of the rest. So one day, because we are grateful servants and disciples of Jagat Guru Uttam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, one day we are sure to taste that Maharas Ras, that Premanand, the sweetest bliss, the bliss that was tasted by the gopis. And we know this because of Sri Maharajji's greatness. Being a Rasik saint and beyond, he has given us the teachings which are the greatest. We are ordinary people, very ordinary. But we know that extraordinary teachings have come our way. We know that an extraordinary personality came along in our lives. And although we are very ordinary, we have been given an extraordinary chance to taste Premanand. And remember when I started yesterday, I had said that once Naradji went to Vrindavan, and there he saw Premanand flowing in the lanes of Vrindavan. Braj ras barasi rahyo braj bithin. You know that by Sri Maharajji from Rasya Madhuri. Braj ras barasi rahyo braj bithin. Jnani binu jane bharmai. The Jnani is absolutely ignorant of the fact that Braj ras is flowing in the lanes, freely flowing for anyone to drink. Naradji said, Braj ras, the Premanand is flowing freely, but very few will taste it. He started to cry thinking this. When Lalita Sakhi asked, why are you crying, O holy sage? He said, because very few will drink it. Well, we have gotten the opportunity, the rarest opportunity to drink that Premanand. But now it is all up to us as individuals, not as a group, but as individuals. What will I do with this opportunity I have been given? Without looking at anyone else. What will I do with the extraordinary opportunity that I have been given? And that just depends on all of us as individuals. What will we do with this opportunity? May we all make best use of this opportunity. May we remain faithful, loyal to our Guru and our Guru's teachings. May we always work very diligently towards receiving that ultimate nectar, Premanand. Boliye Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki jai. Srimad Yugal Sarkar ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.